We are in Dunster this morning. I thought I'd make a little video as I wander around and have an explore and share some interesting stuff with you guys. So join me and let's have a wander around Dunster. And there is Bastion Tower, a relic from the older parts of Dunster Castle. You can see these crenellated walls, but historically they would have been much higher. If you look closely, you can see the remains of the curtain wall that comes off of that old tower, and that would have gone around the whole of the site. And isn't it fascinating to think it would have been from this very location, this very area, and perhaps one of the battlements from this very area here, where Jane Luttrell ordered the first shot to be fired in the southwest of England in the English Civil War. So the royalists would have come to this very door demanding entry, and it was from this very location here, somewhere in this very location, where Jane Luttrell would have ordered the first shot fired in the English Civil War in the southwest of England. Interestingly, the doors you can see here are actually the oldest remaining part of the castle, flanked by the two towers, which are from the period after the century after the doors here. And then we've got the gatehouse, which is from the 1400s. So it's really interesting. Gates started life in the 1200s, although they've been rebound with the iron. Towers, 1300s, and then you've got the gatehouse here from the 1400s. And I find it fascinating that the gatehouse that was built the century after these towers, they've actually built around the arrow slot, preserving the history that come before them. So clearly that shows that they had an appreciation of the history that came before them, which I think is fascinating. And then here we've got Tenants Hall, built on top of the gatehouse itself, although it wasn't built until about 300 years after the gatehouse. It's a lovely old building. One of my favourite things is the graffiti I'm going to try and show you. And then just inside Tenants Hall, at the back on one of the windows, we've got this lovely engraving. It looks like Sea Thrush, 1896. We've got another one, perhaps his friend J. Sloman, by the looks of it. But anyone that knows me knows I love a bit of historical graffiti. And there's some right there in Tenants Hall. I'm on the highest point of the Dunster Castle estate here, known as the Tor. This is the area where the Norman keep would have been established, and the earliest defensive structures of the Norman period. But the history of this area obviously goes back much earlier. We're surrounded with what are referred to as Iron Age hill forts, although the history of those areas probably goes back much further into prehistoric times. But while I was here, I thought I'd just share an interesting theory about where Dunster gets its name from. So we know from historical records there was a Saxon thane whose name was Dunna, and this hill, being known as a tor, was referred to as Dunna's Tor, and over the centuries it's thought that that has changed to Dunster. Dunster, Dunna's Tor, Dunster. Yeah, interesting theory anyway. So for a quick look in the water reservoir. There we go, 1870 this water reservoir was established. But there's some dark history you could see in here, and that was when a poor little badger got trapped in here and unfortunately died, and there's these scratch marks as a reminder of the poor little soul. Look at that.
You may also notice scratch marks around some of
There we go, it's telling us about the story.
These were left by a badger that somehow squeezed through the bars of the grill door a few years ago and fell into the reservoir, long before the steps and platform you've used were installed.
Poor badger.
Sadly, it was found dead by the team who carry out the annual clean. Not a pleasant way to meet your end.
55, look, we got some old
In
graffiti as well.
the ownership of the reservoir was transferred
1903.
to Somerset Water Board, but it is now. Enjoy the rest of your visit to Dunster Castle and come back soon.
And there's the old steps that they used to use to get in and out. There we go, that was the reservoir. And here we are just arriving at the pet cemetery. Very fond of their pets, the Luttrells. There was one pony in particular, I think it was Alice Luttrell was particularly fond of. I forget its name now. But yeah, isn't it cute that they gave their pets their own little graveyard? I mean, my favourite has got to be this one. Oh! There it says, in memento of one's favourite. So there we go. That must be the one I was referring to. But what gravestone? I think it's for a pony. We will go and have a quick look inside of the crypt. Beautiful vaulted ceilings in here. Now, it's in this structure where you will find stories of ghosts and all things like that. But actually, this was just mainly used for storage. Just above us here, we've got the old Victorian kitchens. And this is a storage area. You can see here there would have been racking just like this, with all their fruit and veg that would have come from the estate here, to use in the kitchen upstairs through this doorway. So although it's easy to look at it as something very spooky and haunted, actually it was just a storage area. Still a lovely historic part of the castle there. And something I love is these worn steps. Worn over years and years, decades and decades, maybe even centuries of servants walking up and down these very steps. Right, we're going to wander back down through the gatehouse. Got the stables in front of us just here.